Making the World Championship is the ultimate goal of a pro Smite player.
Making the SWC would be pretty, like, it would make me feel like I actually made it.
Making SWC would be awesome. Coming back on top would be super awesome. It'd be really exciting.
It would mean a lot, actually, because the first time we made SWC, that was like a dream come true. Kind of like teared up because I was like, wow, this is that moment.
Making SWC would mean a lot because I was there for season 1, didn't make it back season 2, and I really want to prove myself again and show that I can be there and can be at the top.
Personally, it wouldn't mean as much as last year because I've already made it and like I have the experience, so I know what the feeling's like. But to be able to go again and have that same fun would be great, just like knowing how exciting it is.
SWC would be a dream come true. It's what I dreamed of at the start, at the beginning of my Challenge Cup career, and it's what I always aim for going into the Pro League.
Well, I think our team is pretty prepared for this LAN, and I think we'll do pretty well and place top 2.
I think our team's going to make SWC this year because we have some of the best of the players in their respective roles, and as a team we really mesh well, and I think we're going to show that in this LAN and the next coming LANs.
We're going to make SWC because we practice a ton. Like, we scrim every day, we practice in rank, we talk about strats, like theory craft, everything. We just prepare the most.
I think we're some of the most dedicated players out there, and we're still like always considered the underdogs, and I think like we have the most to prove than anybody. And I think it's that drive and passion and dedication that's going to push us to the top.
This year is my year.
This year is my year.
This year is my year. This year is my year.
This year is my year.
This year is my year.
This year is my year.
Cette année est mon année.
This year is my year.
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 Well, technically, they're all still correct right now. This year could still be their year, as all teams are still in competition. Group of Death is still here. Day 1 was not the Group of Death, however, but as time has continued, it still goes on. Joining me on the desk this morning is going to be Aggro, and of course Ionic as well, who's going to be taking us through this opening set. Boys, it's been an interesting weekend so far for the most part. Aggro, has it gone as you expected?
A little bit less close than I would have expected. I think that we expected a lot more tough games for Soar. Instead, they've looked fairly dominant, only splitting once with Denial. I expected EnVy to come out a little bit stronger than they have, but they aren't eliminated yet. They could still, if they 4-0 today and Soar 4-0s today, EnVy would be the second seed. But the way that they've been playing, that doesn't seem likely.
And obviously, Ionic as well, coach for Soar at the moment. How do you feel things have gone so far this weekend? Has it gone to your expectations? Are you happy with your team's performance?
I'm very happy with the way we played. I'd say it's gone as expected. It was labeled the Group of Death, but I don't think we dropped a single game to any of these teams online. So I think we would have rather to have this group than the other one, honestly.
It might not be you guys with the Group of Death. I think it's for the other 3 teams is the Group of Death, I think, overall here. And the Reaper is definitely that Soar team that's come through so far. But Soar, you know, they still have the chance of being party poopers for at least 2 of these teams more than likely through today, depending how their games go first of all. But we start things off, obviously, with EnVy. And Aggro, you were saying, you know, they still have a shot.
They still have a shot, and they need to get these 2 wins, but so do Enemy. I mean, Enemy need these wins to put them in contention with Denial for that second spot. We're assuming that Soar, that even though they have qualified, they haven't locked up that first seed yet, but with the way they've been playing, it seems fairly likely that they will do so whenever they play for the first time today in their 3rd set of today. So we'll have to see going forward, but this is a really big set for both Enemy and EnVy.
And when you actually mentioned that there, this is the idea behind EnVy here. Obviously, the boys of Denial and Enemy have to face off against Soar today, so if EnVy can 2-0 both Enemy and Denial, they will take the spot if Soar do beat them as well. So it's very interesting, all still to play for this weekend, but we do kick things off with a very interesting matchup here between Enemy and EnVy, the greatest names in esports history to cast.
No, I mean, it's not as bad as Excel and Excellence.
It's still bad.
It's not good. It's not easy. But
still bad.
These are some good. They've got some good players on both sides. PainDeViande, really the leader here for Enemy. That's the story, at least. You know, listening to their comms, it's not quite as clean as it used to be. It used to be a very, you know, dictator style. Now it's more of a democracy, it seems like.
How do you feel about this, Ionic, as well? Obviously, PainDeViande always been the general. Everyone always says, like, he is the shot caller, the leader. It doesn't seem that way from what we've seen this weekend.
No, not so much. And you have seen a couple teams go a couple different ways. I know some teams have a more of a democratic shot calling. It seems that for Enemy, the only way it really seems to work is if they have one person shot calling like Soar. We have Aninster shot calling. His word is law. I think that's the way it should be for Enemy as well.
Well, let's have a listen into what some of the players had to say about PainDeViande.
Pain was pretty much a natural-born leader. I remember from his denial days, he was always leading his team.
He showed me the light of the SPL. He picked me up way back. Me and Pain played since Legion. We've been a very scary duo lane. We've been one of the most aggressive duo lanes, if not the most aggressive duo lane in the game.
Great for team morale, team boosting. He knows how to keep everybody together. He keeps the status of the team. Like if we're all going in and we're going with this aggressive, he knows how to call us back. And I think he's generally one of the strongest supports in the game by far.
I have no idea what Pain says half the time when he talks, but he's definitely a really smart player. I mean, he proved it when he took that roster in the fall split. They were the 6th seed. They ended up beating AFK or EnVy at regionals, and then went on to Worlds and placed 2nd, and then get the whole new roster, makes DreamHack. So he definitely has some stuff up his sleeve that he's really intelligent about.
The way that he works, I'm pretty sure he just wants people to like, oh, you're gonna be on my team. You should put your brain here and just listen to me. Like, check your brain out, and you just need to follow my call. But it works, right? Because he's that good. He's like, I guess, like a general warfare or something. Like he's just playing chess with everyone. So that's what he wants. He wants people to play chess with.
He just kind of says something, and you follow it, even if it's like weird.
It was just always scary to be around Pain because I didn't want to get yelled at.
I'm a very hard person to work with. I tend to be to want people to do my plan and not their plan, which sometimes backfires a little bit. And also, I have a very short temper, which tends to also backfire a little bit. But I'm working on it, and hopefully, with my team, it pays off in the long run.
Well, PainDeViande there, as you could see on your screen. A very interesting interview from him, and pretty much the opinion that everyone's had of him. I love the fact that he goes on about himself a little bit there, Aggro, as well, actually discussing the fact that he is kind of hard to work with.
Yeah, though that kind of self-awareness always helps out in situations where you have a boss that can be difficult to work with. Sometimes I wish Chapo would have told me that back on our sword days.
Although, like that video, the main thing I saw that was the running through the woods moment. That's what came to my mind. I'd love to be able to see that. Yeah, look at this. I'm not sure if it's supposed to be.
Can you cast this for us real quick?
I'm not sure it's supposed to be. Pain's going in one more time. He's got his tail between his legs right now, swinging through the jungle, but he's alone as per usual. What a surprise. He's about to fall down. Useless piece of crap. There we go. Perfect.
There it is.
Easy enough, right?
We always talk about Pain being a LARPer and really getting into his role both in-game and out of game.
Yeah. Like I said, I wasn't sure if it was a broom, a stick, or it was his tail or something. You never know with PainDeViande. But he has an opponent here today in the other support side of things. And for the most part, he's a very cerebral player himself as well. PolarBearMike.
Yeah, a lot of talk about PBM coming into this LAN, his young sort of leadership capabilities, but they're definitely there. EnVy definitely needs someone to step up and be that leader. They've been kind of all over the place, but I think PolarBearMike, as he continues to mature in the scene, has the potential to be that leader.
Yeah, he is still growing, isn't he? I think that's the thing we can say about PolarBearMike. It's still his first year in the Smite professional scene, but he is still growing as an individual.
Yeah, the big thing for Mike for me is him stepping up and being able to execute the plans that he makes for himself before the game. Definitely a very smart player, knows exactly how the game should go. It's just a matter of whether or not he can do it in the game.
That does become an issue as well, because you've been in a lot of teams, Yannick, so you can tell me this. Is it more of an issue when you've got established players that have been there for a very long time in the scene, and then you have someone like Mike that steps in and is trying to, technically give you orders and be the leader? Is it hard to actually, listen to him, even if he isn't right?
I would say it definitely is easier to have rookies follow your call as it is then, like with EnVy, have CycloneSpin, very experienced player, knows what he wants to do. Kiki, very experienced player, knows what he wants to do. So for Mike, definitely a little bit more difficult of a job than, say, Pain had in the spring split.
Plus, a problem that Mike seems to have is paralysis by analysis. He's thinking too much about the game sometimes, where you just got to turn your brain off and hit your skill shots. And that's he kind of freezes up at times where, and he was talking about it himself, he thinks about the game a little bit too deeply sometimes when really it's just hit, stun, kill enemy.
And the credit to Mike, though, at the same time, he started off with ego, so he was kind of used to the egos to an extent, and the fact that a lot of people were very experienced on that team. Now in the EnVy squad, similar sort of story here. Bans and picks are underway, or picks and bans, whichever way you want to call it. Enemy will be first pick, and they're going to take away the raw Naja.
No reason to give Kiki the mid laner he's looked best on so far this weekend. Didn't look great on it yesterday at all times, but the game that EnVy won, he was looking pretty comfortable on the chicken.
Yannick, this is the time that you want to release strategies, right? This is the time that you want to pull them out of the bag if you want to stay in contention. But all teams pretty much need 2-0s today.
Yeah, if you got any cheese in the fridge, now's the time to pull it out, I would say. And Terra, pretty standard, I would say.
I think for me, it's going to be
enemy.
which team has more wine is going to be the biggest issue here this weekend to go with that cheese.
Yeah. No, I like the cheese line better.
You like the cheese on its own? Well, Terra is cheesy enough because she's so strong in the early game in terms of wave clear, but not only that, the influence from that Terra's blessing in team fights.
Just does so much for your team composition overall. We haven't seen a lot of teams get Terra locked in because it's almost always banned. Envy was one of those teams that got it, and that was the game they won.
Is it surprising, Yannick, that we start to see this meta develop where the fact that you see gods like Terra, that you're like, this should always be banned, but you'd rather ban away the Athena because both players may play it so well?
Yeah, Terra really no weaknesses at any stage of the game. Such good wave clear, really only the mid game where she's a little bit weak. But yeah, it is surprising to see Terra let through in a lot of these games.
Talk about surprising. Enemy's draft here is absolutely amazing right now. Thor, Janus, everyone's comfortable. All got globals. Thanks very much, Envy.
I'm very surprised to see the Thor Janus come out for Enemy. I'm surprised to see Envy let them have those picks. I think even after Enemy won one of their games yesterday, I heard them say, yeah, just give us Thor Janus every game.
And what do they do with it? They're going to run train with it. I mean, it's going to be a really tough time for Envy now.
Yeah, Envy's really got their work cut out for them with the draft that they've given Enemy. Drafting the Sylvanus for themselves, trying to match the sustain coming out of Terra, but I don't know if Sylvanus was the right pick there. You could go for something like Guan Yu, which also brings sustain, but is a little bit more mobile, a little bit harder to kill.
I mean, to be fair, Yannick, I do have a player on the desk right now that always used to say, if Sylvanus is up, give me him. Is that changed since then?
It's definitely changed. Definitely other supports that are better, I would say, but Sylvanus does match the lane pressure that Terra gives, maybe even a little bit more lane pressure, and also does provide the sustain in the mid game. Probably even better than Terra's sustain in the mid game as well.
And is that because of the fact as well, not just because you don't have to stay on the monolith there, you get the Wisp and you all can scatter around each other as well, plus you get some protection from it. That's the main reason overall there. Cataban's coming through though, Sol, Rama, so Hunter focus from Envy.
I like it. You're already giving away 3 priority picks to Enemy. You may as well not give PandaCat something else that he feels very comfortable on. Though I like the Oceans getting Jingwei. No Izanami from him this game at least. Wants to take a little bit more of an aggressive route in the lane.
We'll look at the picks and bans here coming out. I mean, this is clearly a plan from Envy coming into this. There's no way you're going to go into the draft, pick Raijin and Jingwei, knowing that they're going to give them Thor and Janus here, because they want them to be on their best gods, it seems.
Yeah, it looks that way. It looks as though Raijin and Jingwei, definitely gods very highly prioritized by EnVyUs, as well as Enemy looking to target out Skeeledon. Definitely all 3 comfort picks for him, Naja, Ratatosker, and Hunbats.
And Yannick missed the Skeeledon there as well. Hit or miss this weekend for the most part. It's been a troubling time for him.
Yeah, still trying to get adjusted to LAN. First time playing here on LAN and not having the performance that he would like as well as the rest of the team. I mean, all of Envy, I think, could say basically the exact same thing. More comfort picks coming through for Enemy right now, though. Amaterasu and Anhur. PandaCat very comfortable on this Anhur, and Marauder did very well on Amaterasu earlier this weekend.
Bit surprised he didn't go the Sun Wukong there, because he seemed a little bit more comfortable there overall, but Amaterasu just great at all stages of the game.
Basically, yeah, it brings that late game team fight, and with the premier solo laner right now, I didn't think I would say that. Vamana being the premier solo laner right now, being selected away by CycloneSpin, Amaterasu's kind of the next pick.
Yannick, how do we feel about the Awilix last pick for Skeeledon here? It's got some help with the Sylvanus.
Yeah, it looks like it's a little bit of a pocket strat coming out from EnVyUs. Nothing too unorthodox, but Sylvanus Awilix definitely a combination that teams aren't really used to playing against in scrims, so it'd be interesting to see if Enemy has practice against this or how they react to it.
Well, I mean, there's one benefit here. It can deal with Anhur very well, but not Terra. Those monoliths stop her getting knocked up.
That's the thing. Terra seems like the easy pick here up against this EnVyUs composition, but it's got to be PolarBearMike recognizing when those monoliths and crushing earth, those stones are down, because like you mentioned, her passive, when she's got her stones up, she cannot be knocked up, and so that's going to really shut down that knock up into a Wheelish ult combo.
Actually, a few of the gods are just in a good position from Enemy to go into this composition here, Yannick. I don't think there's really too many troubles with this, although, it just depends how the Awilix plays.
Yeah, I really, really like Enemy's team comp here. Thor, Janus, their ideal mid-jungle combo. Terra, obviously the ideal support to have. And Amaterasu, probably Marauder's best god, I would say. So only PandaCat really not on the optimal god, and I think Enemy should be really happy with the way they drafted here.
And Denal watching this at home as well. I mean, watching from the stands, I should say, not from home just yet. They'll be looking for a split here overall, obviously. They need the points just like both these two teams in this one. 2-0 is very important for all sides. Splits are not good enough.
Exactly. You need the 3 points. The 1 is not going to cut it, so you're right. Denial rooting for the split here. Both teams really need the 2-0 to make it to the second seed to qualify themselves for Super Regionals.
Well, with this, how this is playing out here, what's your biggest strengths you can see on the side of Envy here, Ionic, overall? Is he certain lane dominance is going to be in one favor or another?
Yeah, well, they do have the Vamana, which should be good pressure. Awilix Vamana, very good clear at the start of the game as well. So I would say Awilix does synergize pretty well with Sylvanus. Jing also has that knock-up. Vamana has that knock-up. And they should have the mid-jungle clear as well.
And when you talk about the mid-jungle clear and the solo lane there, aggro, we mentioned that. I mean, Envy, they're looking for the right-hand side all game to begin with. Those fire elementals are hotly contested in the early game. They're very important.
I'd like to see Skeeledon spend a lot of time on the solo lane side. Like we saw in the Challenger Cup there that FinalK was doing against Aquarius. Just spend time on the right-hand side, let CycloneSpin knock Amaterasu up, and then immediately use the Gravity Surge to get those early kills. If you can get Cyclone ahead in this game, you could be the best way to win if you're Envy.
Is that the real plan here? Get Cyclone ahead and hopefully nobody notice Oceans just farming up to late game? Is that the real idea here?
I think it looks like Sylvanus Jing could go either way in that duo lane, but Vamana really is that one matchup that you want to get the dominance through, be able to invade the buffs on the solo lane side. So if Skeeledon spends a lot of time over there getting Cyclone ahead, hopefully that's the way Envy can find their victory.
And we talk about Envy's victory here. I mean, that early game is very important to them, but then how much of a lead do they need to develop here? Is there a sort of gold number we should be looking at? Like, if they can get this lead, it's going to be very difficult for enemy to come back in.
It's not so much a gold lead as much as how far ahead can we put CycloneSpin? If we get CycloneSpin like 2 levels up over top of Amaterasu and then rotate him around the map and make it difficult for Khaos on this Janus, for PandaCat on Anhur, to make it impact on the team fights easily, that's what I'm looking at more so than any sort of straight up gold lead that they can amass.
I mean, look at team fights as well. I mean, enemy here, they've got some great ultimates for these team fights as well and a good team fight situation. But not only that, I'm looking at the mobility of this team. It's actually pretty high across all of them, especially just because Amaterasu is going to add to that a little bit as well.
Definitely extremely hard to lock down on the side of enemy. I'd say Cyclone will have a pretty hard time unless he's ahead, locking down the Janus, the Thor, as well as having the movement speed buff from the Terra's ultimate. Going to be really hard to lock down those players on enemy.
Going to be a rough situation for these boys. PolarBear might get himself set up. The boys are actually just getting themselves sorted for this game at the moment. That's why we're just delaying going straight into this game for the time being. For now, but we've talked about most of the matchups here. We talked about duo lane a little bit. Mid, Ionic, you touched on that a little bit. You expect enemy to be okay in the mid game, in the early game, but you think Envy have the lead.
It looks like Envy should have the lead. Awilix does have really good clear, and she should be able to outclear the Thor and go into the mid Harpies earlier than he.
Especially with a Raijin as well there, Aggro.
Yeah, the Raijin mid clear is really strong. However, as long as you're able to clear the buffs early on the left-hand side if you're enemy and get that Janus to lane early on, you can actually clear very quickly. If you can use the Unstable Vortex and the portal, it clears fast.
Well, it's time to go into game. Quick predictions there, Ionic. You expect enemy for this one?
I'd say enemy.
Enemy.
3 enemies on the desk. Let's find out if they can do it. Or can Envy stay in this one? After Untoli, you ready? Let's go into game.
Enemies, you guys are my friends. Come on now. Good to be back, folks. Sorry I took yesterday off to get a haircut. Just kidding. But something that does have to be cut is enemies' situation when it comes, or Envy's situation when it comes to picks and bans. I mean, by no means do I think this game is over, but I'm starting off on this foot, giving enemy almost every single comfort pick. This is an uphill battle for Envy for sure.
There's a lot of synergy on the side of enemy between Thor and Janus, just having the global presence. And then you have the mobility, right, between Amaterasu and the Janus, as well as the global ultimate from PainDeViande playing the Terra. So overall, it seems that enemy definitely got what they want, especially with PandaCat playing the Anhur. He wants to probably make these 1v1 plays, because we saw yesterday in their set that they did split. When Oceans was playing the Izanami, PandaCat was playing the Jing. He tried to make an aggressive 1v1 play under the tower. Unfortunately, didn't quite find the airstrike at the max range and got punished for it with a counter rotation gank.
At the same time, we're going to see Envy pull out the Jingwei this time around. Oceans will be on the young girl this time, and I'm very happy about that. I was a little critical of the picks and ban phase, and I still reserve that right. But at the end of the day, mainly because I'm looking at some of the curious picks on the other side. But when you look at what Envy have on their side, it's really not too terrible. Oceans is going to be in a very good position to do the hard carrying, which is exactly what that rookie really brings to this team. And then CycloneSpin on the Vamana, like you heard Ionic say on the desk, he's going to be able to exert that pressure early on the right-hand side, and hopefully Envy could get some invades going on to get the pace rolling.
It's all about the side lane carries for EnVyUs. They've been known for this kind of style, but it's very important for Skeeledon to help one side lane get ahead. And the most important lane, I think, for EnVyUs would be the solo lane matchup between CycloneSpin and Marauder, especially Vamana versus Amaterasu. You don't want to allow this Amaterasu to get to that mid to late game freely. At least allow CycloneSpin a little bit of a lead and start rotating.
Especially because it's Marauder on that Amaterasu, one of his most powerful gods. Trouble in the mid lane. Skeeledon gets in a little bit of trouble thanks to the portal, but he'll be all right.
Unfortunately, not being able to mez a mid-hammer teleport, but now PandaCat in a lot of trouble, getting knocked up there. Also eating some of the wisps, jumping away into the safety. More poke exchange in the mid lane, and between this Janus Thor against the Raijin Awilix, both of them are going to be playing with a lot of fire here. You both have to get really close range for Skeeledon to get in any sort of damage.
And Kiki right here on the Raijin, this has been a question mark for me for a long time now. Kiki in general has an odd god pool, and EnVy has played around that, and I don't necessarily think that that's a hamstring in and of itself. But seeing Kiki on this Raijin has just never really impressed me, and I'm still waiting for that.
We've seen him play more of this traditional utility style mids between the Chang'e, the Aphrodite, the Nuwa, now bringing out more traditional mages between the Rod, the Raijin. It hasn't been really working out too successfully for EnVyUs as a whole, but they're still trying to find their identity. And surprisingly enough, going for this Raijin Jingwei off of the Terra pick, normally it seems that off of second pick you're going for a counter pick strategy, but I didn't really see much countering with those two picks.
Well, EnVy right now, they're going to counter the jungle at the very least. Skeeledon leading the charge, and this is something that Awilix does very well. And this early, especially in the mid game when she really hits her stride, she can clear these camps easily, she can make these invades count, and like I said, with CycloneSpin on the Vamana, you want to see that a lot.
And I like this rotation in the bottom left mid back harpies that they did, because if they can catch the Janus before he has through space and time, it would be a very easy kill.
And this is excellent, but better for CycloneSpin. He gets his ultimate just in the nick of time, but it's not enough. Marauder and the hot level 4 gank from the Thor is enough to take down the solo
That
lane.
Amaterasu ultimate just does so much damage. Despite not having any items online quite yet, you always have to be very respectful, especially not having the physical defense for CycloneSpin quite yet. Even a level 4 gank on the Thor is enough just to devastate his life. And like we mentioned before, this solo matchup is so important. So the fact that Shattered made the first rotation, Marauder's now one level ahead.
And like we said, the Vamana generally wins this lane. That's why you see the presence over there on the right side. And the Thor level 4 gank on the Vamana. Vamana gets really hit hard by Thor's wall. So it's an excellent gank, even though he gets by the ultimate. Shattered gonna look for one himself. It's gonna be invade on the speed buff. Lands right on top of the jungler. And Skeeledon in some trouble. How did he not see that?
He's not gonna be able to really do anything, but Kiki with his ultimates trying to get some return damage through space and time was used just to be able to disengage there. So now enemy on the retreat. Skeeledon did secure his own speed buff there.
And that's the important part. Like we said, EnVy are going to look to be invading, and if they get invaded themselves, that's going to, you know, bite him in the butt.
Nice little turnaround by Khaos, making sure he wasn't going to get knocked up by Skeeledon. Skeeledon's ultimate is still available, so they could synergize it here with PBM's ultimate.
And here's Marauder ulting as well. There's the damage you were talking about. Skeely gets taken out like a lightning bolt, and PolarBearMike seems to be next on the menu. Very low to support, but Shatter gets knocked up and knocked down. Oceans gets the last hit off of the rotation out of the long lane, and it's 2-1 enemy.
This is what we're known to see coming out of Oceans. He always makes these early game rotations that are just so unexpected. You can never expect a Jingwei to come on your side of the jungle, these rotations. If you're invading a Jingwei, sure, you know, you use that passive, it makes sense, but to overcommit this hard, now PandaCat at least is going to be able to strip away the boars from Oceans, get his later on, sneak in a wave as well.
And you know, I think that might have been the mistake that EnVy made. You have to expect the Jingwei to be there. That's her whole gimmick, right? We've seen hunters give up their lives taking in a 1v1 that's not in their favor, specifically to block that rotation. So EnVy, they get a good play. Oceans really makes the Jingwei count.
The credit with the kill actually has a gold lead on top of PandaCat, about 200 gold now, but in the mid lane. Nice little stun with a follow-up. Not too much damage quite yet. Only a level 7 Janus on Khaos.
I love this play style out of enemy. They're fighting fire with fire. EnVy has clearly stated with their pick ban strategy and what they've done so far, look, we want to fight before 10 minutes. We want to fight early and often, and enemy are responding in kind. behind. They said, look, we know you have the Awilix, we know you have the Vamana, you're going to look to invade us and do this sort of thing. Enemy says, word, we got Janus and Thor. What you going to do about it? And they just go right for the head.
And I like to also fight fire with the sustain composition, allowing Terra to go through to enemy, but Envy respond by picking up Sylvanus on PBM. Normally, we're not used to seeing Sylvanus being played on him. He prefers more of the Ymir kind of style, the Bacchus, more of the setup. But Sylvanus is very hit or miss depending mechanically, but PBM in a lot of trouble getting caught off, forced to use the ultimate defensively.
Ooh, right now Sylvanus is getting hit, and he's not going to get missed. Shattered makes him go and pay. Kiki's going to respond with a kill onto the Thor, but that's a dead Skeeledon. One last shot. Marauder pulls out the ultimate for it, stunned, and he gets a double kill. Marauder already 400.
Got deleted, absolutely devastated by by Marauder there off of the ultimate, and the Shining Metal was just so good coming out of him. The second ability does so much damage off of the stun. He couldn't really quite get out of that one.
Just excellently well played by enemy. Biggest thing that I'm noticing in this game already, it's only 6 minutes in, and the rotations have been fantastic. I've really enjoyed watching enemy play so far.
And this is the point in time that Marauder is going to start really power spiking. With one level ahead of CycloneSpin, he's starting to max out his aura. Look at this. He's 4-0-0.
Exactly, and that was all. I don't want to say it was all brought to you by that gank onto Shattered, but by that gank from Shattered, excuse me. But if Marauder doesn't get that early kill or that early lead, then he can't exert this pressure. He can't rotate, and he can't take out CycloneSpin like that. Covered by Janus, there's a nice portal. But not enough follow-up from enemy. They decide intelligently not to go too deep.
CycloneSpin was a little out of position there. He tried to be the satellite for his team to just spot out where the members of enemy were while the rest of his team was securing their own speed buff. Unfortunately, right now, not having that much health, not having that much physical defense, this Thor and Amaterasu is still going to be able to punish Vamana at this stage of the game.
You know, hold that. Shattered. Where's he going?
Trying to go to those back harpies. He sees Skeeledon, but I don't think he's in range quite yet. He's hoping that he's going to finish it and then come back down.
Yeah, he wanted Skeeledon to come walk towards him. I love the fact that Shattered landed there, because a lot of times that Thor player is just going to land safely, right? You land right in front and say, hey, I could have if I wanted to.
The problem right now between these junglers, though, even though Shattered is a little bit ahead, about 300 gold or so, he's actually behind experience-wise. He just now hit level 8, whereas Skeeledon has been contently farming and being able to go all over his own side of the jungle.
Now, right now, I want to bring the focus back to the solo lane, Anatoly. CycloneSpin now down 3 levels on this Vamana. Very dire situation. Vamana's a character that he's really just a bully. We talk about Robin in that regard. What can Vamana do while behind? Because he's really just about beating people up.
It's not even about what Vamana can do from behind. It's about what can Cyclone do from behind, because we're not used to saying his name being played from behind. The PandaCat, though, in a little bit of trouble, but he'll be fine under his tower. So CycloneSpin being nice stun into the desert. Fury through space and time used just for the added measure, and now Skeeledon forced to run away, being slowed a little bit, jumping away. The stun is being aimed, but not going to connect.
Oh man, that's the play you got to flex after. PandaCat lands that is the max range impale. Didn't even think it was going to get the stun, and then he follows it up immediately, obviously with the accurate ult. The guy's stunned, but just a wonderful play coming out of PandaCat.
And this is why we see PandaCat pick up the Anhur. He's so comfortable with it. He describes himself as the Zatman 2.0 mechanically. Yeah. I would definitely have to agree with him. The aggressiveness is there coming out of PandaCat. He's not afraid to go for these kinds of plays.
And you know, I got to disagree with Ionic for the first time all weekend here. He mentioned enemy are very comfortable on all their gods except for maybe PandaCat. Even if you don't see PandaCat playing this as much as some of the other characters, this is such a PandaCat god. I think when you're playing that hunter role, you want to play what's good for the team. So you're going to play these Jing ways, etc. But PandaCat here, he wants to fight. He wants to fight all the time, and Anhur is the fighter. And look at this level differential. 2 levels between the hunters.
2 levels on the hunters, 2 levels on the soul lanes. We know Envy for their side lane potential to carry, but it seems that enemy have responded beautifully to not allow that to even happen this game so far. Both of the side lanes are able to put on so much pressure. We saw Marauder force the ultimate from CycloneSpin earlier on, and now he's in the jungle trying to spot when the speed buff is respawning. Pain is here, Khaos is here, Shattered's in the air.
And they're going to make the play over here. They being enemy, of course, lands right on top of the monolith. PolarBearMike in a lot of trouble. He knows he's going down. He ults just in case. But the problem is the damage hasn't responded from enemy. Finally, Janus finds a hit, but he's stuck there in the back lane. And now Envy bite back. CycloneSpin able to pick one up, but Marauder finally Gets PolarBearMike. It took them too long to kill that support, Tolly.
The issue was Oceans got there yet again before PandaCat. The Jingwei just a little bit too mobile. PandaCat doing a good job zoning away. At least Skeeledon for now. Speed buff has been secured. So overall, a 1-for-1 trade and speed buff going in the way of enemy.
Marauder gets knocked up. He'll be fine.
Not going to really want to do that. Skeeledon's ultimate was down, but even if it was up, being a level 9 Awilix, you don't really want to pull a level 13 Amaterasu. CycloneSpin should be fine here. PandaCat using that Desert Fury. Skeeledon gets stunned and wiped off.
Wonderful heads-up play coming out of PandaCat. I love the split-second decision-making. Panda ults for defensive purposes. He's ulting 100% for crowd control immunity. He had no plans on killing that guy until he realized that that was a potential situation.
Just trusting your own teammates. This is what enemy is known to do. Just start grouping up and looking for the plays. Kiki now aggressively thunder crashing, but he's into 3 people. PandaCat, though, no
Good
mana
play.
to jump away.
Yeah, that's exactly where Envy had to fight into it. Marauder's gonna ult, he's by himself. Kiki's likely to fall. He doesn't have the thunder crash, and Shatter's gonna put a cap on it.
Beautiful pull, preventing the teleport from coming out, and CycloneSpin with another beautiful clean up. Marauder, though, dashing away. He can't take that portal, otherwise he'll be back with 3. Nice little unstable vortex, but it seems that the rest of Envy, they want to start the Gulf here. They have the numbers advantage.
And this is a good play from Envy. They fight exactly where they know they should. You saw CycloneSpin avoiding some of these fights and staying out of the limelight. Gold Fury very low. Janus ultimate not enough to seal it. Envy taken away. And enemy just sit and watch. Now they're looking for the fight. PBM likely to fall for the 3rd time. Again, gets away, but Janus says hello, hits him with the unstable vortex. But CycloneSpin able to answer out.
CycloneSpin with a nice cleanup yet again. 4 kills. Pain getting caught out of position. A beautiful knockup, but the slows from PandaCat. CycloneSpin denied with the impale. Beautiful play from Panda.
PandaCat's on his game today. Offensive, defensive, everything that PandaCat needs to do, he's pulling it out successfully. He is saving his teammates out of some mistakes, and right there, cleaning things up as well. 3-1 and 2 for the young hunter. Just looking good.
Overcommitted, unfortunately, trying to kill PainDeViande there at the very end. Not having the dash available when he wanted to. Now CycloneSpin getting caught out by PandaCat yet again. EnVyUs have just been struggling a little bit. Now they did get that goal here, which was pretty important for them to take advantage of the numbers that they had, but now enemy with the cleanup, so they still have almost a 2,000 goal lead heading into the 13-minute mark.
Well, that Envy Gold Fury was so important, Tolly, because right now we're 12 minutes, and that mid-game, this is where you're going to hit your stride. Envy were down 2,000 gold. They were down 2K. If they had let that Gold Fury go, then you're looking at a 4K gold lead, which enemy can definitely use to their advantage. So Envy keep themselves in the game with that clutch play.
And right now, enemies still have a huge experience gap, with the supports being 2 levels gap. The mid is about a level. Same with the junglers, especially the hunter position. You want to be relatively close in experience and in gold. There's a lot of power spike play opportunities whenever a hunter can get ahead, and that's exactly what PandaCat has been able to do. 2 levels ahead of Oceans, having the red buff, looking for these plays.
Enemy has been in Envy's jungle more than their own, but this time Envy is caught on. Shattered has to take to the sky defensively this time around. Marauder's going to do the same thing with his ult. 5 players at Envy on the right side. PandaCat might get that tower, and Envy, I think they were looking to get those kills, but they cannot. So PandaCat gets a tier 1 for free.
Envy is so smart. They recognize the strategy out of enemy basically wanting to consistently invade the speed buff, which is why we see this rotation constantly coming out of Oceans. They almost won that team fight, but the mobility coming out of enemies is too much between the Janus, the Thor, the Terra's blessing from PainDeViande, and PandaCat didn't really care about that team fight. He wants to go for the smaller objectives, grabbing the tier 1 on the left. He's waiting for the red buff to respawn, and he's going to be able to snag that one away.
Yeah, exactly. Tier 1 tower and the red buff. Envy intelligently pull out of that fight. PolarBearMike gone. Shattered goes underneath the tower for it. KikiSoCheeky throws out the drums, not going to find anything. One more time, Skeeledon gets stunned, but a perfect meditation saves him, and PandaCat's finally going to be punished.
Nice little meditation bait. It's going to be traded out 1-for-1 so far. Support for the Hunter. PandaCat a little overzealous, but using the monolith just to be able to sustain a little bit longer. Skeeledon cannot be here with that 5% health. The rest of Envy have to back off. They don't have the level lead that they need to be able to do this kind of a push.
Exactly. A lot of times I speak about the gold differential. That usually dictates who's generally in the lead. But if you look at the game with a closer lens, it's about the experience right now. And that big 7,000, that's a problem. Look at this. 2 levels between the hunters. The supports aren't really in the conversation, but you're also looking at a large lead as far as the solo lane. is concerned, not to mention the jungle. So you've got to pay attention to that, and enemy's certainly going to make use of it.
And that's really scary to look at the difference levels in the solo lane, because this is going to be a late game Amaterasu making the plays. Already finishing off the breastplate, trying to go for the Jotun draft. 6, 1, and 3, always being a big bully against CycloneSpin.
But CycloneSpin, you got to give credit where credit's due. Cyclone was down almost 3 levels at one point, and with almost a single rotation, that fight on the left side that led to the Gold Fury, CycloneSpin catches up in about 2 levels, and here he's just about a half level behind. So he's certainly what EnVy are looking to bring him into the late game.
It always seems that he's in the right position to find the cleanup kills. Nice little double tap from Shattered, but the rest of his team are not really in position to follow up. Instead, they're just going to grab the right side mid Harpies and wait for another opportunity.
And that poke is so important, right? Like you said, not enough to follow up, but because of that poke, Skeeledon has to walk away. He can't contest those mid Harpies, and again, just little dots to add into enemy's column.
And then forcing PolarBearMike to always be using that heal out of combat, so if enemy were to engage while that was on cooldown, there's a big power spike, well, like a little play that they can do where there's a 15-second window until the next heal would come up, and then on top of this, enemy would be looking for the huge burst play.
So right now, 16 minutes into this one, enemy leading by about 3,000 gold. EnVy were able to answer back. They've been trailing the entire game, but they were able to pick up a Gold Fury. Unfortunately for them, that's about it. Enemy has made sure to really steal their buffs away pretty much the entirety of this game. EnVy has sort of put their cards on the table with some of their picks, and enemy read that and said, okay, we're going to respond in kind.
And this is a game where neither team really wants to try to force the Gold Fury. They don't have rafts. They don't really have these high bursting abilities to secure the Gold Fury themselves. So this is why we see such a heavy kill game. 13-7 at the almost 17-minute mark. Just a lot of action between these two teams, between invading buffs, looking for potential picks in the jungle.
PainDeViande gets knocked up again. You know, speaking to a lot of the players, I'm a big fan of Awilix, but the problem is her late game damage is just too dangerous to really confirm to yourself, usually behind enemy lines. But here's the deal. With Awilix, a lot of the pro players just say, look, you're not going to get knocked up in a pro game. You hear the audio cue, you can turn around and not get hit. PainDeViande, however, that's like the 3rd or 4th time I've really seen him get hit by that knockup.
To be honest, there could be a strategy where enemy might want PainDeViande to get pulled by Awilix, because then you allow your squishier targets not have to worry about that. The worst thing in the world is to have an Awilix come from the side and be able to just devastate your backline completely, waiting for that right opportunity. So also the fact that PainDeViande does get knocked up, considering it's Terra.
Sure.
It's pretty interesting because you could always have a monolith somewhere around the ground to prevent it.
Exactly. PandaCat hiding behind the corner. Stun's not going to hit. Neither is the hammer. Neither will the impale. All 3 shots missed, but Shatter's going to try and get a reprieve. Taken to the sky, landing right on the individual, but missing Skeeledon with everything. Shattered, put your glasses on.
They threw space and time, not on the mark either, though. Kiki, they'll force the Thunder Crush yet again away. Skeeledon, though, gets chunked out and completely devastated, so now it's going to be a 5-on-4 enemy regrouping backwards.
Janus with the offensive ultimate, not going to really be able to make anything really big happen. Skeeledon does fall down, but the Gold Fury.
Smart play from enemy, just respecting the numbers, utilizing the heal from PainDeViande Monolith, but now it's PBM caught out of position. The stun coming from Marauder, negated by the ultimate from PBM, though.
And Kiki's hiding behind the wall, doesn't have the ultimate available, so can't expect the artillery. CycloneSpin going to be zoning. And that's about it.
Just a beautiful disengage yet again, utilizing the sustain from the Monolith. EnVy still has a 4-on-5. Skeeledon just now reviving, won't be in the team fight for a little bit. He doesn't have teleport. He did go for the Blink second relic, which is why he was able to escape in the first place. But unfortunately, still caught a little bit out of position. That Thor wall really pinned the maneuver for Skeeledon.
Enemy still staying so aggressive. On this left side of the map, Gold Fury almost down, and there it goes. Enemy get a Gold Fury for themselves. 4K in the lead now, and we realize they have to fight, but I don't know if they really want to.
No, not at all. Skeeledon is in the mid lane, though. EnVy thinking about going down the tower, but was shattered in the air. He's going to be trying to land down, finds PBM and Kiki, and there's nowhere for PBM to go.
Absolutely flawless wall placement. Gets it on the right side, and there's nowhere for Mike to go. Absolutely.
Another clean pick by enemy. They're just so good about playing together off of their cooldowns, communicating where everybody is, utilizing their global presence. PainDeViande lurking in the backside, being able to stun out Kiki. Unstable Vortex, though, not going to be able to hit a nice Sanctuary by Kiki.
Tower about half HP. Not going to continue the fight right there. Grouping up as 5 are, well, both teams here in the mid lane.
Slow and steady. PBM, no sustain for EnVy as a result, so they're going to keep using PainDeViande's Monolith and keep going down the tier 1 mid. PBM just now respawning.
You know what that was? That was the double tap. Got 2 players with the double tap. Watch out. EnVy still trying to defend this tier 1 tower. CycloneSpin gets hit with a chunk, and Shadow's going to take the bait, but gets pulled in himself. Kiki gets the kill.
Nice kill onto Shattered. His purification was down, but it was traded 1-for-1 PandaCat with another beautiful Desert Fury, able to take out the mid laner. Not that much magical damage now on the side of EnVy as they continue this fight.
Here comes the rest of EnVy. Oh man, I really thought they were going to be more aggressive. You can hear it in my pre-call almost.
They're just waiting for that right opportunity. They have the sustain from PBM. They could bait a little bit more cooldowns now. They don't have the ultimate from CycloneSpin, so he had to back, but he does have teleport to continue the aggressive side of things. He did teleport to the left, almost got stunned against the wall. If he got stunned there, that probably would have been a kill.
Yeah, I definitely. Yeah, I'll definitely agree with you on that one. Sorry, that one threw me for a little bit of a curveball. But in any event, Oceans with the integral knockup to get the pull onto Shattered underneath that tower, that's what led to the kill. The Jingwei Awilix combo is a really big deal, and I feel like Shattered just sort of forgot about it. Right? I think he just sort of forgot about the fact that the Gust is going to be an enabler for that pull, and enemy, they can't fall victim to that again.
He saw blood in his eyes once he saw that CycloneSpin got stunned against the wall. He followed up. He followed up with a Tectonic Rift hammer into teleporting to his own hammer just for the Berserker Barrage. So once he committed under that tier 1 tower, he had no possible way to escape from the pull from Skeeledon.
Yeah. Could you tell I've been watching CSI? You said blood in the eyes? Petechial hemorrhage.
Petechial hemorrhage.
That's what you call when your eyes are all bloodshot because of one reason or another. But Marauder, he's looking for the whites in the player's eyes, getting up real close, trying to find the flank along with Shattered. One thing I really got to take my hat off for is Shattered's ultimates. I really love to, when you're playing Thor or Ratatasker, ulting on cooldown, you're just not going to be able to do it. The game doesn't give itself to you like that. But Shattered has been almost succeeding in doing that. And we use the phrase set the pace of the game a lot. This is what we mean. Enemy has been able to make every single play that they want, a lot off of Shattered just ulting every time he wants to.
And a lot off of Marauder just diving the backline, getting a little bit of damage down onto Skeeledon, now force PBM to constantly use those wisps under the tower.
Enemy looking to make the push. Let's ride along with them thanks to Steel Series.
I'm holding. Go on. I'm on. That's you. Fight. You watch. Good. I'm on here. Looks me low. Help me. Push it. Another one. I think force. Yeah, sure. I saw them. Healing? Yeah, take it. Yeah, I vote him too.
Yeah, we got
it. We're good. Take it. Back up, let's go fire. Order on fire. Reset. I think that's up again. Just for one. Reset. Back up. Reset. Grab our yeah, check the order on fire, and then we're just gonna play around fire. Let's go to red. Or we can push right. Push right too.
Take right.
We can push right.
Take this.
Wait, they're not coming to us. Let's order on fire. Marauder goes. Wait, can Marauder go split push right, and then we push left and get gold, and then like tier 2 and left.
Yeah, Marauder.
Yeah. Actually, let me, because you need Marauder in fights actually. Just let me go right.
Yeah, teleport here. Okay. Okay, then yes, go.
Yo, my 7 minute. I'll see 750.
Comms a little bit more shared than we're used to hearing out of enemy. Once again, thank you, Steel Series, for our listen-in. But this time around, after the play, you hear a lot of this cacophony of voices. But during the play, you heard a couple of shout-outs, but you clearly saw Pain was the last shot. But what an impressive push. How did enemy really accomplish that one, Tully?
They're just able to know each other's mindsets. They know the target that they have to switch to, even though it's communicated calm. Like, there's just too much clutter in the comms. Like, we could barely distinguish it, but enemy are so good about pinpointing who's communicating what, listening to the right target. And this is something that they've been known to do, just always grouping up, always forcing the objectives and being able to target switch as hard as they have been.
PainDeViande pushed up all by himself. Not that rare of a sight in all honesty, but this time it serves a purpose. His team is doing Gold Fury. And with Pain in the mid lane, EnVy really don't know where anybody is. They might even be tempted to go for him, but a free Gold Fury for enemy that time around. EnVy don't even attempt to really defend it. Like I said, I'm not sure if they even knew. Should EnVy have shown up there?
It doesn't seem like they could have potentially even won the fight if they did get around that corner. It would have been a very easy disengage for enemy to reset the Gold Fury and then utilize Shattered's teleport to come back into the team fight very unexpectedly for EnVy and then still have the numbers advantage.
Yeah, that's a key point right there. Taking a page out of Anderson's book. I don't want to offend anybody if you did it first in your secret casual game at 1 in the morning, but Andy really was the player to put that teleport, specifically on Thor, that teleport in the jungle. So Shattered certainly making use of it, and it's keeping him omnipresent on the map. And like I said before, I think Shattered has really been the key to this game for enemy. His ability to just ultimate pretty much wherever, the integral gank on the right side to really secure CycloneSpin. Cyclone was able to catch up, but Marauder utilized that lead early on to really make things happen. And one more time, Shattered going for it.
This is what you have to do as a Thor and a Janus. Utilize those globals. Going to land right on top of Skeeledon. Nowhere for him to go, so another clean pick by enemy. And now, this is the point in time where it gets really scary because one pick is going to result in a 40-second respawn timer, and that's exactly what enemy are relying on to get this Fire Giant.
No, unfortunately for EnVy, their jungler has had 6 deaths so far. Enemy get the Fire Giant, just like the Gold Fury, free and clear. Right side going to be pushed up. You can see Jingwei split pushing on the left. Keep that passive in mind, though. She can definitely join a fight if need be. But EnVy have not seemed to really want to go for it.
Not at all. And this is a very important game for both teams right now. Enemy, they're 3 points behind Denial at this point. EnVy, they need to win every single game today and expect Soar to win all of theirs if they want to get to Super Regionals.
Well, I think you can expect something at a Soar. Might not be 100%, but I don't know how likely EnVy are going to win this game. Enemy are doubling their kills right now with 18. Looking to put a couple more on that one as well, but right now all the focus on the Phoenix itself. CycloneSpin going to come out in ultimate to play defense. Marauder, not too much. There's the pull. There's the pull. I was expecting that one, but not enough damage. In fact, it goes on to Skeeledon. Shattered's going to miss, but he won't miss the hammer. 2 kills for EnVy.
And they're still aggressing on the right-hand side. Nice pin onto Oceans against the Phoenix, and now Shattered on the backhand side. Doesn't even get onto the airstrike, and that's going to be 4 dead for EnVy. Now, Fire Giant on enemy. They're going to be pushing down the Tide Room. They're going to get the first game and eliminate EnVyUs' chances to get to Super Regionals, at least for the time being. They're going to have to go through the gauntlet.
That right there, that was a play for a Phoenix that turned into a Titan play. I don't really think the call from enemy there was go all in, we're going to win the game here. But when you're just gifted those kills, well, take it.
Like you were mentioning before, Shattered playing the Thor was the reason that enemy got the momentum right off the bat. We saw that level 4 gank onto CycloneSpin just completely disrupting the flow, because normally Vamana versus Amaterasu, you're looking for that early lane pressure and being a bully as a Vamana player, and I'm really surprised that Skeeledon wasn't the first jungler to show up in that lane.
Yeah, exactly, and especially when you're playing the Awilix against the Thor, sure, you're evenly matched, I would say, as far as early and mid-game prowess, but the Awilix is a character that wants to rotate. She's got a vehicle, right? But unfortunately, we saw Shattered show up there on the right side first.
And on top of that one kill, this is where the momentum started. He started making the plays around the speed buff with that global presence. He found Skeeledon later on in the game, constantly applying the pressure, and then eventually EnVy started adapting to it. We saw the rotations coming from Oceans, being able to make it a 5-on-4 play, but they couldn't really find any objectives after that first Gold Fury that they snuck.
Yeah, there was really like one big moment in there that I had faith in EnVy. That was the return series on the left side, looking for the Gold Fury, the one that turned into the Gold Fury. EnVy looked good and ripe to fight, but unfortunately for them, the rest of the game just didn't go their way. Enemy just had too few many eggs in their baskets. Analysts, Thor, Janus, Amaterasu.
Not a big surprise there with the result based off the picks and bans. We were both talking about, all 3 of us were talking about on the desk there. But just to remind you, this weekend there is an Odyssey chest sale right now. Before we go and break down that first game, you guys can get a discount on the Odyssey chest right now. Make sure you do so, and you can get yourself some decent skins just like Aggro does.
Yeah, that's right. And this Meltdown Soul, that's the big one that you're looking for at in the Odyssey chest there. So this is the time to try and boost that skin total.
Or boost the moose.
Or that is like top tier skin in the game. I mean, it's got to be top 3.
It's great. I just think it's really hard to hit the ultimate with that skin for some reason. I don't know why that hockey puck just seems different. Anyway, into the analysis of that game, I guess, overall. First thing to say, I mean, Yannick, you were saying it's about getting Cyclone big in the early game. That didn't happen. It was Marauder that got off to a flying start there.
Yeah, instead of Skeeledon being the one getting Cyclone ahead, it was Shattered getting Marauder ahead. And as soon as you get that Amaterasu ahead, he took that lead and he ran with it. And he really managed to do a good job taking that lead and making sure he got his team ahead.
And he really pushed that one as well. I mean, obviously Cyclone wasn't really able to impact the game after that moment just because Marauder was 2-0 in lane already, started rotating to the team fights and just caused more issues for them.
I mean, yeah, to some degree, but Cyclone was really the one that was trying to pull Envy back into it, despite that awful start that he had up against Marauder. I mean, he hit level 20 before Marauder did. Cyclone was the one, he was sitting with a terrible KDA, then all of a sudden I look and he's like 5-3 out of nowhere. So Cyclone did what he could. It was just the core there for Envy just didn't work well enough together. You saw Pain, Chaos, and Shatter working so well together, whereas Kiki, Skeeledon, and PBM just didn't have that same synergy.
Well, the last person you mentioned there, PBM as well. Yannick, you've been in this situation before, but this weekend, looking at Mike's play overall, he's been focused a lot in these games. Like, they've really tried to pick on Mike all weekend long. What's it like as a support player when you do that? Is it a difficult mentality to have to adapt to?
Mike's been definitely picked on, I would say, in picks and in the game, and it's definitely very difficult. I could tell Mike, I was talking to Mike, and he said, "I'm just been tilted this whole weekend."
It
like,
seems so. Yeah.
He's just not having a good set, and getting that mentality just doesn't help with it.
But with the meta the way it is as well, do you feel like it is the sort of idea of the game now? Is look for the supports in the early game and snowball it from there?
I wouldn't say it's quite just let's focus Mike, it's an easy kill, but that's definitely a factor when it comes to enemy winning the game.
Especially when it's Janus and Thor as well. I grow up against the Sylvanus. It is the global presence from those who just pinned him down.
Just so much mobility, and you saw a lot of times Marauder would set up PandaCat from a long distance with the ultimate. He would stun PBM, and then PandaCat would be following up with the Desert's Fury. And PandaCat as a whole just had a great game on that Anhur. Turns around the 2v1, gets a solo kill onto Oceans. Terra ult aside, it doesn't always matter. It's still a solo kill. He would have gotten this without the Terra ult.
Well, I mean, he would have probably, but maybe at the same time, Terra's ult did come into play. The mobility factors into that one. Aggro, you need to remember that one going forward when you do try and make highlight reels of other players. But yeah, PandaCat for me had a very good performance there. His rotations seemed to be very, very strong. A little bit too aggressive, but that is PandaCat style, Yannick.
Yeah, that's just PandaCat. To me, it just came down to enemy were outpicking and outplaying EnVyUs, I would say. PandaCat that 1v2 in the lane, and Shatter just making more plays overall around the map than Skeeledon was.
I'm with that.